Good morning, everyone. I have our lesson plan here for today. This is class 3. This is in the pages section. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the IKFK switching in Advanced Skeleton. And it's not complicated, but it's a very specific set of steps that you need to take. Now, I'm actually not going to cover it in this introductory video, this pre-recorded lecture, because I actually have a link here to a video I did that breaks down how to do all of these steps. I had done this about a year ago, I think. So I'm linking to that video. So for today's class, you're going to want to watch two videos. You're going to watch this one, and then you'll also want to watch this one. And I would actually suggest stepping through this process together as I do it, so that it's clear in your mind, or if you have it, or if it seems confusing, we can address that when we get together at noon today. So this is a 2-video course, simply because I've already done this. So instead of doing it again here, I thought I would just link to the video where I've covered this previously. So you want to watch those 2 videos. Some other things we'll do when we get together at 12. We will continue working with the 12 principles of animation. We're going to go to timing or we did talk about timing. Yeah, we did do timing. Solid drawing, and then we're going to go take a look at follow through and overlapping action and secondary action. So we're going to continue to chip away at these here. I also would like to take a look at the animations you came up with for this week from our LinkedIn Learning lesson that we were working on, where we were animating a jump for the cartoon character. So we'll take a look at those today in class as well. And then if we have any questions on this IK and FK switching, we can talk about it then. I can demonstrate the process while we're in person as well. Because again, like I said, it's not complicated, but the steps that you have to take are very specific. Otherwise, you'll just completely botch up your animation. And actually, one thing I do want to mention, when you watch this video here, when I do this step where I'm aligning the systems, I didn't actually describe this too well. I think this is specific to Advanced Skeleton, but in Advanced Skeleton, I think the way these are labeled in the alignment tool is a little misleading. Because if you read this, it says FK to IK. If we say align FK to IK, that makes it sound like we're taking our FK system and then aligning it to IK. But it's actually the opposite. I should talk to the developer about changing this label. So I just put a note here so that it reminds you. The align feature, or the align option that says FK to IK, is actually aligning the IK system that was left behind to the FK system, which is what you've just posed in currently. So it's the opposite. And same thing here, IK to FK does not mean align your IK to the FK system. It means align the FK system to the IK system. So again, it's kind of the opposite. So I just wanted to point that out. Those labels are confusing in the alignment switch in Maya. If you haven't watched this video yet, this won't make any sense to you. You want to watch this video and then you'll understand this. I do select, obviously I select the proper ones in the video, but I didn't break this down into how these labels are a little bit confusing. So keep that in mind as you're going through this video, and then when you maybe try it on your own. Again, we can cover this more in class when we meet at noon, in case there's still any confusion on that. And then for homework for next week, we're going to go to the LinkedIn Learning lesson called Learning Character Animation. I want you to do modules 1 and 2. Now I want you to just watch those modules. I don't want you to use the character from the modules, not like last week. I want you to just watch those modules because they're going to animate a character from seated to standing. And this is actually a type of animation where you might need to use an IKFK switch. Typically when we're doing IKFK switching, it's when the character needs to plant their hands on something and then take their hands off. And a seated to standing pose, depending on the locomotion there, you might have to do that. The character might put their arms on either side of them on the bench or whatever they're sitting on and push themselves off. And once they push off, when they're pushing off, we want the hands planted. So that would be IK. And then once the hands are done pushing off, we can switch to FK, once the hands are free again. So since we're talking about IKFK switching with advanced skeleton, I want you to use the advanced skeleton tuna character. And you can get that tuna character by just going directly to the website there. Let's see, advanced skeleton. So if I go in here and then down towards the bottom, so I go to downloads, and we have example rigs. So they're right here. You can download them here. This is tuna. Or from directly in Maya. Let me boot up Maya here. So in Maya, you could just come down to the bottom here under demo, and you can say check for demo updates. Click on check online for demo updates, and here's all the characters. And we could just deselect all of them except tuna, and then download it, and it will auto install it. Again, that's from the demo rollout here in the advanced skeleton menu. So either way is how you can get to it. So again, what I want you to do there is, so you want to download that character. So basically you want to do the seated to standing animation that they discuss in these modules. So you're just using that as a guide. Then you're going to do a seated to standing animation using the tuna character. And make sure you give the tuna character something that they're actually, we don't want them standing up from an invisible asset. At the very least, just put like a cube there. So we have some geometric visual reference for the character. And then that's it. So we want to make tuna stand up. And once you're done, we're going to create a play blast like we talked about last week, and then you'll submit it here in this spot. Now, you also want to keep in mind, now today we're going to talk about follow through and overlapping action in class. And you'll want to think about that when you're doing this seated to stand. Once the character stands up, their whole body doesn't stop moving. Some of their body parts will continue to move. We can discuss it a little more in class today, but I want you to think about that particular principle or those principles of animations when you're animating your tuna character. So again, we're using these lessons just as a guide, and we're going to animate with the tuna character. Now, you can get away with doing a seated to stand without using an IKFK switch on the hands. But again, I think this would be a good example to give it a try. If it doesn't turn out really well, that's okay. The 5 points for this is not, you're not going to lose half the points because your IKFK switch looks funky. I'd rather have you give it a shot. And then when we get together next week, we can talk about the trials and tribulations we had trying to use the IKFK switch. And then, it'll become clearer for us. So I would encourage you to do a IKFK switch, by planting the character's hands on the bench or whatever they're standing up from, and then switching to FK once they've stood up. So that's basically what we're going to work on for today. Actually, I don't have Maya open. Let me just come back and talk again about the confusing part with the align tool. So if I'm working in advanced skeleton, what I'm referring to here these are our switches right here, and I'll talk about them more in that other lesson. But if I right click on it, the switch labels are accurate. When I want to switch, when I say FK to IK, that means exactly what it says. I'm in FK right now, and I'm going to switch to IK. Or if I am in IK, I'm going to switch to FK. So these labels are not confusing, but the align labels are. If I read this, I'm saying align FK to IK. That sounds like I'm taking my FK system that was left behind and aligning it to IK, but it's not. It's the opposite. So you can think of it this way. If you're working in FK, you're going to align your IK to it. So whatever the first one is what you are currently working in. So FK, so if I'm in FK and I need to align my IK, this would be what I use. If I'm in IK and my FK has been left behind, again, the left behind thing may seem a little, you may not understand what that is until you watch the other video. But once you watch the other video, you can come back and review this. So what I'm saying here, or what this is saying is what this is actually saying is I am in IK right now, and then I need to align my FK to it. So again, I think the easiest way to think about it is the first one is where you are currently, and the second one is what you want to align. All right, don't try to read it, in a linear fashion here, then you'll get confused. So again, I'm in FK, I'm going to align my IK. I'm in IK, I'm going to align my FK. So that's just a side note that I didn't elaborate on in the other video. So between the other video and this one, we should be good to go, but we'll see how we make out today in class. Again, I encourage you to go ahead and try an IKFK switch before we meet at noon, just to see if you can pull it off with all of the resources I have here, the other video, this video, and even the breakdown that I have in here of how to work with IKFK switches. But I would say watch this video first, then come back and try it. So I think I'll end this lesson here. This is a short one, but we have this other one to watch, which I think is about another 10 minutes also. So all in all, we've got about 20 minutes of video to watch before we meet together today in Teams at noon. So I'll see everybody then.